Welcome to the Wealth Wisdom Podcast. I'm your host, John Lawson, Senior Wealth Advisor at Asante Capital Management and Sana Family Office. We're always looking for unique ways to educate our client families and be introduced to new clients. At Sana Family Office, we help business owners and affluent families navigate the complexities of wealth through a variety of wealth management and family enterprise oversight services. Today on the Wealth Wisdom Podcast, we have a fun session lined up with Cara Lawson of Cara Interiors Inc. And yes, also my wife. Clients are constantly asking me about her business, both as a business owner and curious to learn what she actually does. I, of course, always say that she sits at home eating bonbons, but that earns me a smack and nobody believes me anyways. Cara has built a very successful, award-winning business that their services are highly sought after for both residential and commercial spaces. So I thought it made sense to take a two-prong approach and quiz her on both being a business owner and an interior designer. Let's jump right to it. So without any further ado, we have Cara Lawson of Cara Interiors Inc. As I said, we're going to do two prongs here, Cara. So first, I'd like you to talk a little bit about the business side of things for you, just to speak to our business owners, and then a little bit in the life of an interior designer. And I thought we'd maybe have a little bit of fun with that. So firstly, how many years have you had your company, Cara Interiors Inc.?
I've been doing this for 17 years, but I changed the name from Cara Designs to Cara Interiors probably 5 years in.
Okay, and I've seen over those 17 years, I've seen your business explode. So why don't you tell us, what is it? What was the turning point or the catalyst for moving your business to that next level?
Moving the business to the next level would be opening the studio for sure. And then 2 weeks after opening the studio, COVID hit, which made our industry, just supported our industry with everybody nesting and not being able to travel. They're putting their money into their homes and redoing businesses because they were closed. So showrooms were being redone. So we had a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, it's I remember that time, but I remember just before that initial scare and pause, and it was, for lack of better words, holy crap, what did we just do?
100%. And going from, because we have a retail space, going from having a packed parking lot, which just is buzzing all the time, to nobody there. It was very scary.
Yeah, but persevered, did what you do, and things just took off and did really, really well. You made another expansion just in last year. Tell me a little bit about that.
So we opened up an office across the street because we really needed office space and we needed library space. We also needed an area to be able to present to our clients, because what we're finding in our retail space is we actually have to close in order to present, so that we have undivided attention to the client. And so the studio is a very busy place. We've got deliveries through the back door. We've got people walking in, and we really just needed that focus space. So that served the purpose.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, but it's amazing when you're in there, you can be quiet, but as soon as there's other people in there and they see a presentation going on, it's almost like people press their noses up against the window and want to see what's going on, and they're curious.
Yeah, we pull them in that way.
Yes, that's right. So the other question I had for you, and I know business owners relate to this, is what do you do to keep making the business better every day?
I think that's a process. I think that's, you learn from your mistakes, because we always make mistakes. I don't want to make mistakes, but we do make mistakes. And hopefully it's not on the client's time, but just bettering that feedback from our contractors, from our clients, and knowing how to make that experience better for everybody.
Yep. Yeah, totally understand that. I often say, it's not that we won't make mistakes in business. We will. We're all human, but we try and analyze those mistakes and make it so they don't happen again, and then improve that process. Now, I know you do some coaching. Is that almost like a preemptive strike for you to improve the business instead of waiting for bad things to happen? You're getting somebody who can help you look through it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think starting the business coaching was definitely because I was feeling like we were just treading water. We weren't getting to that next stage, and our processes. I wasn't happy with our processes. We had an all right process, but there was huge room for improvement. And this has really set the structure for our next step that I'm super, super excited about. And just having some new projects go through the new process, it's like, wow, why didn't we do this sooner?
Isn't that always the case? I know sometimes when you hit upon those great changes, it is just that way, isn't it? It's like, why didn't we do this sooner? It's so much easier. And I just, because I see this firsthand, everyone, I can tell you, Cara had great processes in place before. It's just that she knew they weren't as good as they could be, and I've seen and I've watched the difference, and that's just that piece for business owners where we all try and improve, and we take what we have. It's great, but how can we do it better? And it makes a better client experience.
And I think also being a business owner, you're almost a perfectionist. So you never actually look at your work or your processes as being great. You always think, even though they could be great, and I mean, we've won awards with our design and that sort of thing, so it must be okay. But we always look at like, could have done this, could have done that, could have done this better. And so I think that is really the push that makes you grow and pushes you to better everything.
Yeah,
Right?
Totally agree. And it wouldn't be my podcast or my show unless I asked a business owner, do you have a written succession plan?
Of course. I'm married to you. How could I not?
Okay, right answer. That's good. Let's shift gears a little bit, because I know the other side of clients, what they really want to know is a little bit in life, a day in the life of an interior designer. And so as we talked about before we actually went to record here, is that we're talking about your business, and you'll try and shed a little light on other people's, but your business best. And I always, this is my way of poking fun at it a little bit, because you are with me, obviously very candid. So I want to ask you, give me your outside and then inside voice to people's response when they find out you are an interior designer and say, oh, that must be so much fun.
I think my outside voice always has a little bit of sarcasm. Oh yeah, it's really fun. It is fun. We do love what we do and have a lot of laughs at the studio, but there's a lot of times where it's nose to the paper, really trying to get our timelines done. There is a huge amount of responsibility and liability that people actually don't realize that is involved with interior design. And if you make a mistake, well, guess what? You're buying the furniture. And it could just be as simple as messing up a SKU number. You have one digit out, and then all of a sudden you just own 8 bar stools.
Sounds like that's maybe happened.
Well, it was only 6, but yeah. So it's a really detailed job. You have to pay attention to details, and sure, it's super fun to see a vision come to life, and to walk in when you've been living in a computer for 5 hours and just see that space. And but with it really does come a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. So maybe that kind of dovetails into a little bit I guess maybe this is a little bit of a rhetorical question, but I know there's people on both sides, and they're still good, but are credentials and education important, or just a flair for design?
No, 100%. 100%. If anybody wants to pursue interior design, go to school.
Yeah. Yep. All right. And then, like all professions, there are areas of specialization and approaches to the business. So who does your firm work best with, and give us a sense of your process that you walk through with them? And that's a 2-part question, because I know the process side's a little longer, but walk through that with me.
So basically, our primary clientele are business owners or professionals, doctors, lawyers, a lot of accountants. We probably have 70% of our residential is our accountants. And I think how we fit in with that clientele is because we're very adamant about having a tight contract, a tight process, so that they can see everything. It's very transparent, and there's no unknown.
Right. And then when you do have somebody come to you, what is it that you do to decide whether or not there's a good fit?
Well, actually, so we've just recently changed our process on this, and it always had started with an initial phone call, just to kind of get a feel of the person and that sort of thing. We still have that process. Now we go on to the next step, which would be a Zoom meeting with me, and just to make sure that there's that connection there. Working with an interior designer, or the way that we work, it's almost like a mini marriage. So you have to be able to trust, and they have to be able to understand that, we are a professional, and all of our clients do rely on that we are a professional in our area as well. As so typically business owners know that there's different professions for different areas, and they really, really rely on that. And so that, in a nutshell, that's really our process. And then from there, it goes on to, more design and that sort of thing.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to touch back on, you made a comment on this earlier, but you talked about living in your computer for a while. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So after we take measurements and do a base plan and that sort of thing, the creativity really starts to take place. And that's where, kind of going back on the ideal client for us, a good fit for us, they let us create. They're not trying to put us into a box, say, I want, we ask for a wish list, and we try to put all those wish lists in, coordinating with their lifestyle and that sort of thing. But our best designs are always when the client says, just do it. We trust you. And nothing is ever done without approval, without client approval, but just to be able to create, and then, just seeing that space come to place, and then we present to the client and tweak if we need to. Sometimes we just nail it, which is like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know, again, because I know the way that you do it, you actually do that in a 3D walkthrough presentation, which is very, very cool to see. So That's I know also that you do what you're saying is you tend to push the client a little bit because they're often they're a little bit conservative, but then I've seen some of your clients when they see some of your ideas to push them a little bit and they just light up and say, oh, that would be awesome. So a lot of fun.
And one of the cool things that, I mean, one of the joys that I really love is when we look at the end of the project, when we look at our 3D perspective and our design concept, and then looking at it in a photograph or seeing it in real life, and it's the same. Usually. Yeah,
where it's come to life. Yeah. So tell me a little bit. I know I get asked this, and I'm not a designer by any means, but they think I'm the furthest thing from a designer. Actually, Cara can confirm that.
You can hang a good picture.
But I often get clients who will say, well, what's Cara doing these days? What's the new trend? What's happening? How would you respond to that?
Yeah, we're definitely into clean lines still. We're still there. But one of the interesting things is warmer colors are coming back. So we've been kind of in the grays and blues for a long time. And now it's really going back to those warmer colors, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. Okay. So maybe give us an idea of what are some of the different service areas that you contract with clients. So in other words, what do you do? I'll maybe prompt that by saying, I know you have your own cabinetry line.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we have our own cabinetry line, custom cabinetry line. So we do offer that as an additional to the interior design, as well as we do cater to residential and commercial offices. That's our specialty.
So what about things like furniture and blinds, stuff like that? Do you get into that?
100%. So we do a lot of custom cabinetry. We've been importing from the States through a couple of lines that we're really pumped about. And then, yeah, drapery and window coverings and that sort of thing as a full package. So really we take the project from start to finish and offer our trade sources to, well, we're doing the purchasing, but we have trade sources for the client. And we have a lot of unique furniture too that isn't, you're not going to walk into your friend's house and see it. And that's a big thing for a lot of our clients is they don't want something that they can get, at Home Sense or something like that, where they're going to see all the time. They want that unique piece.
Right. Absolutely. So what happens if somebody comes to you and you're not a good fit?
Yeah, so that does happen, believe it or not. Yeah, so that's where we take the initial phone call and the Zoom meeting to find out more about them, research, if they're wanting to do it themselves. We don't really cater to that. My business coach, she had put out a really great analogy of you can dye your own hair or you can have a professional do it. If you color your own hair, it may not work out. You may have to go to the professional, or it might work out okay, but you have an experience with the professional and she's taking care of it. And if it doesn't work out, she's going to take care of it again. So it's kind of a fun way of looking at it. And it's funny how our business is kind of aligned that way.
So what about if somebody turns out not to be a good fit? What do you typically do at that point?
Well, we do have a couple of people that we refer our clients to that like smaller, or people that come to us, they like smaller jobs and that sort of thing. And we know them and we know that they do good work. So we're really happy to refer off so that they're not left on their own, or we'll recommend going to the Interior Designers of Canada Association and just search in their area of where they live so that they can find somebody local, which has the accreditations needed.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And then just as an interior designer, what's kind of your most gratifying moments? I think you touched on it a little earlier, but
probably the biggest reward, way more than monetary, because I don't do this because of monetary. I mean, I want to be paid, but the biggest reward and gratifying moment is when a client walks into their space and they're like, I love this. And it doesn't even stop there. Often they'll reach back out and they'll say, even in a week or month or year, we love our space. We've got so many clients where we've finished, with the accessories and that sort of thing. And we're like 7 years later and they have not moved any of their accessories.
that I know that's your dream client, because you came into the office the other day and you looked, who put that plant there? And that's an ugly pot. I've got to get you a new pot.
Can you give me a budget for a new pot?
So you did touch on this a little bit, but if somebody is looking for an interior designer, what is that organization that they go to? And also, if they want to contact you directly, how do they do that?
So the association is Interior Designers of Canada, and I'm sorry, I don't have the website off the top of my head, but you could just Google that and it would come up. And for us, we're Cara Interiors Inc. You can call us at 604-385-4011, or our website is carainteriors.com.
Outstanding. Well, thanks so much for doing this. I know, as I said off the top, clients are always asking me for updates about what you're doing, how you're doing. They're curious about your business. So I finally got bullied into doing a podcast on this by my clients. I might say Cara was probably a little reticent to do it, but thanks so much for being a sport. And hopefully by the time I get home, we're all set for dinner. No.
Sure.
A big thank you again to my wife, Cara, for being the guest here on Wealth Wisdom Podcast and sharing her story. So there you go, everyone who wanted to hear from her. And if you want to reach out to Cara, you can email her at info@carainteriors.com or go to her website at carainteriors.com. Ultimately, as you know, our goal is to educate and engage you, our audience. If you have any topics that you would like us to dive deeper into, please let us know. If you could take a few minutes to post a review, it would be much appreciated. If you would like access to other videos, podcasts, or articles we have done, visit us at saunafamilyoffice.com. For those of you who don't know the origin of the name Sauna Family Office, it stems from the meaning of asante, which is Swahili for thank you. However, the most commonly spoken phrase in Swahili regarding asante is asante sana, which means thank you very much. The name represents our gratitude to all the families and business owners who have chosen our team as their trusted advisory council. Until next time, asante sana.
Hi, I'm Trevor Beggs from Sauna Family Office, and thanks for listening to John Lawson and the Wealth Wisdom Podcast. Here are the necessary disclosures. Asante Capital Management is a member of the Canadian Investor Protection Fund and Investment Industry Regulatory Organization of Canada. This material is provided for general information and is subject to change without notice. Every effort has been made to compile this material from reliable sources. However, no warranty can be made as to its accuracy or completeness. Before acting on any of the above, please make sure to see a professional advisor for individual financial advice based on your personal circumstances. The opinions expressed here are not necessarily those of Asante Capital Management. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next time on the Wealth Wisdom Podcast.